Get back to moving like you used to, with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. If you have nagging pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back, and you're done with steroids and pain meds, call QC Kinetics. And if they're telling you surgery is your next option, don't do it. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation and a free second opinion. Learn more about this amazing natural biological treatments. Enjoy this time of the year doing what you love. Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. The sports world keeps spinning and the local conversation continues. Now, Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Oh, yeah. Those words were never more true than they are on Tuesday evenings, Jacksonville. Welcome in to the late night edition of Hacker After Dark. We are live. We are local still, 10 to midnight every Tuesday evening. We're all about the midnight shift, the graveyard shift. We are here for you, the hardworking men and women of Jacksonville, Florida, and we are glad you are with us. We're 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock every night of the week, except Tuesday. Tuesday, we like to get our hands a little dirty, 10 o'clock to midnight here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you here on Hacker After Dark. We'll set the guest line up in just a moment. We'll get you up to date on the NBA playoffs in just a moment. But as always, the show is streaming right now, 1010XL's YouTube channel, and on my personal Twitter at Ryan Green 1010XL. As we go deep into the night, if you want to watch right along, you are more than welcome to do so. Again, the 1010XL YouTube channel and at Ryan Green 1010XL on Twitter. Where to begin this evening? Let's run it down for you. In about a half an hour, Travis Reier, BamaOnline.com. I do want to talk to Travis about Nick Saban. I want to talk to Travis about the Alabama Crimson Tide, about Bryce Young and how Alabama plans to once again get back into the college football playoff in 2022. But obviously there's a lot more to talk to Travis Reier about than just this Alabama team. I want to talk about John Mechie. I want to talk about Jamison Williams. And I certainly want to talk about Evan Neal. We will talk Alabama. We will talk Alabama prospects. Will Evan Neal be a Jacksonville Jaguar 1 week from Thursday? Maybe. Very easily could see it happen. I wouldn't do it, but I very easily could see it happen. So Travis Reier coming up in about a half an hour. In the 11 o'clock hour, my buddy Brent Beard. Absolutely love having Brent Beard back on the airwaves here on Hacker After Dark. Brent has been a guest on shows that I've hosted for, well, basically since I started. I've known that guy almost 20 years. Whenever I'm the host of a radio show, Brent Beard will have a spot on my show. He is a good friend. You see him on First Coast News. You see him on several media outlets throughout the southeastern part of the country. And he will join us on a semi-regular basis here on Hacker After Dark. And we'll kick that off tonight. Talk about Florida, Florida State, Miami, and, of course, the Georgia Bulldogs as all spring football drills for those four respective programs have wrapped up. And then finally, later on in the program, the final guest of the evening, Scott Wright started a website called draftcountdown.com. This was probably 25 years ago. And I used to have Scott on all the time. Absolutely loved the website. And then he went on to do different things, and the website's been not active, I guess, is the best way to put it, for the last year or two. But it's back now. DraftCountdown.com is back. And one of the managing partners, Shane Hallam of DraftCountdown.com, will join us in the 11 o'clock hour tonight as well. And we will talk all things Jacksonville, not just about the number one pick. We'll dive into the 33rd pick in the draft. Also, those two third-rounders. Look, everybody's talking about number one. A lot of people are talking about 33. I got to tell you, you should be able to find good football players, starting caliber football players at number 65 and at number 70. It'll be very interesting to see what Jacksonville does with those two third-round picks in next week's NFL draft. How does that sound? In next week's NFL draft. Of course, it gets underway next Thursday with round number 1, rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. That brings us to where I want to get into tonight to begin, and that is the NFL draft. You know, we've talked about, really for the last couple of weeks, you can go back a couple of months when I was on primetime with Joe, Matt, Leon, JJ, and the boys. And we've talked about this a lot. There's 5 guys that at one point or another, you could say were linked to Jacksonville with the number 1 pick in the draft. Kayvon Thibodeaux, Oregon. Ike Ekwonu, North Carolina State. Evan Neal, Alabama. Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan. And the new guy to the party in recent weeks was Trayvon Walker at Georgia. I believe Trayvon Walker is still in play. I believe Aiden Hutchinson is still in play. I believe Evan Neal is still in play. I did not believe that Ike Ekwonu of NC State was still in play up until the last 24 hours. You hear things, you hear rumors, you talk to people, you dissect the information. Who knows what's true? Who knows what's false? Is somebody trying to give you something off the beaten path? It's the silly season in the National Football League. I happen to love it because you got to really, really read people and see who's telling you the truth, who isn't. But why do I get the sense that here we are 9 days out from the draft, and Ike Ekwonu may not be off the table for the Jaguars? I thought he was. I thought there was a time, probably a month or so ago, that he was definitely in play. But as the hours turned into days and the days turned into recent weeks, I thought Ekwonu had kind of faded into the background, much like a Kayvon Thibodeaux. That may not be the case. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that they're going to draft Ike Ekwonu, but I don't believe he necessarily is not or is no longer in consideration, I guess is the best way to put it. I think he might still be in the conversation in that room, along with Evan Neal, along with Aiden Hutchinson, along with Trayvon Walker. I do not believe Kayvon Thibodeaux is in the conversation, but I will tell you what's interesting about that. Last night on Hacker After Dark, Emory Hunt, CBS Sports HQ, footballgameplan.com, he said he believes Kayvon Thibodeaux should be the pick at number 1. I'll go ahead and give you a little tease. Shane Hallam, draft countdown. Guess who he thinks is the best player in the draft? You guessed it, Kayvon Thibodeaux. Thibodeaux seems to be making a resurgence a little bit. Not necessarily here in Jacksonville with the number 1 pick, but you're starting to see him go back up the boards in the mock draft. Remember last year, right after the draft, looking ahead to the 2022 NFL draft, all of those mock drafts had Kayvon Thibodeaux number 1. And then the months go by. He doesn't play in the Ohio State game. People are looking for things to get him on as far as critique him on. And then he starts falling down because people are questioning, does he really love the game of football? Does he only want to go to a market to enhance his quote-unquote brand? Remember that story? And you started to see him fall down the board. In all these mock drafts, all of a sudden Thibodeaux now was going 8, 9, 10, maybe sometimes outside the top 10. But as we're getting closer, and as the NFL draft edges ever so much closer, we're inside of 9 days away, there is an ascension, it appears, for Kayvon Thibodeaux. To the point where you see some mock drafts now have him back inside the top 5. It has been an absolute roller coaster one that's been fun to watch. I also saw this morning. You know it's getting serious, and I mean it is getting serious, when Mel Kiper and Todd McShay team up for a 3-round mock draft. Whew. When they team up for a 3-round mock draft, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting to the nitty-gritty of NFL draft season. It's here. We're what, 215 some odd hours away from the Jaguars making that number 1 pick. Did you catch this morning? Let me tell you the 4 people that McShay and Kiper had the Jaguars selecting. They went Aiden Hutchinson, number 1. Kiper and McShay went Trayvon Walker, number 2, to Detroit. And looky here, Kayvon Thibodeaux, number 3, to Houston. See what I mean? Thibodeau's starting to climb back up the board. So their mock draft goes Jacksonville with Hutchinson, Detroit, Trayvon Walker, Thibodeaux to the Houston Texans. In the second round, this would be awesome. The Jaguars are taking Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. By all indications, among people that study this sort of thing, the Pro Football Focus crowd, and other analytical websites, Linderbaum is one of, if not the best center prospects that's ever been in the NFL draft. Certainly since they started grading them on the decimal point system, he is the highest grade of any center for any of those websites, as far back as they go. So Aiden Hutchinson 1, Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. Final 2 picks in this 3-round mock for the Jaguars. I love this. Gator fans, you'll remember this guy. In the 3rd round, they have the Jaguars taking Wan'Dale Robinson from Kentucky. He's still running against Florida. They haven't caught him yet. He had a ridiculous game against the Gators up in the Commonwealth when Kentucky won that game last September. And finally, at pick 70, they go back-to-back receivers, Calvin Austin. The reason they went Calvin Austin, 5 picks after Wan'Dale Robinson, they used the logic that they're not certain Laviska Shenault will be on the roster come training camp. Tell you I don't like that, and I'll tell you why. Told you guys last night, and I stand by it. First 4 picks, give me 2 offense, 2 defense. You need help everywhere. Trevor Lawrence needs help offensively, but you got to stop some people on defense too. For me, the absolute perfect scenario would be a defensive lineman like Hutchinson at 1. I don't mind Linderbaum, the center from Iowa, at 33. That's fine. That's an instant starter along the offensive line. Then if you take Wan'Dale Robinson at 65, give me a defensive guy at 70. 2 and 2. Don't overcomplicate this. Give me 2 on offense. Give me 2 on defense. We're off and running. Again, you can stream us online, the 1010XL YouTube channel, for your viewing pleasure. Also, my personal Twitter, at Ryan Green, 1010XL. Travis Reier, BamaOnline.com, about 20 minutes away. We will get back into the world of the National Football League. You see James O'Shaughnessy this week signed with the Chicago Bears? That one stings. Not from the sense of a big loss for the Jaguars, just a friend. We had O'Shaughnessy on XL Primetime many times. He was our guy, man. In the tough times, you call O'Shaughnessy to break it down. Kind of sucks. We're not going to have that anymore. But O'Shaughnessy aside, everybody's talking about the people coming into Jacksonville, right? Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Brandon Sheriff, Evan Ingram, Darius Williams, Fadakasi, Aluakun, go on down the line. I want to talk about the guys that are no longer here. I understand these guys did not win a lot of games in a Jaguar uniform, but the absolute changing of the guard, the changing of this roster with the likes of Chark, Jack, Norvell, Can, Brian, O'Shaughnessy, All gone. It's really interesting. I'm wondering who the longest tenured Jaguar is on the entire roster. I guess it's DeJuan Smoot, maybe? Maybe Cam Robinson. Wow. Well, I take that back. Cam Robinson for the starters. Shatley is the longest tenured. But after Shatley, it probably would be either a DeJuan Smoot or a Cam Robinson. And that's for all 53 guys. The changeover of this roster is amazing. Are any of those guys that left here going to make an impact with their new teams? A lot of them are going to get the opportunity. DJ Chark's going to be a starter in Detroit. Miles Jack's going to be a starter in Pittsburgh. Andrew Norwell's going to start in Washington. AJ Cann, you'd have to figure, is going to start in Houston. I was told if the season started today, Taven Bryan would be the starting defensive tackle in Cleveland. Let that sink in. If all those guys were so bad, and they didn't win very many games, so one would lead you to believe they weren't very good, why are all those guys going to be starting for different teams next year? It's an interesting thought. It's Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday night. We're with you till midnight, Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
Step into the 1010XL Hall of Sports.
One word. Awesome. This room is awesome.
1010XL, where sports come to life. Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Malavia Washington Youth Foundation Spring for Hope Dinner is April 24th at the Florida Blue Campus. Learn how to sponsor or get tickets at malwashington.com.
The learning experience in Nocatee is raising funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and the Jacksonville Sharks will donate $5 for every ticket sold. Learn more at jacksharks.com.
If your child is between 5 and 12 and would like to cheer or play tackle football in the Police Athletic League, signups are at jackspalsports.org.
If you know someone with cancer and no insurance, call the U.S. Uninsured Helpline at 800-234-1317.
The Wounded Warrior Project provides what medicine and technology can't: community, counseling, and a second chance. Find ways to help at woundedwarriorproject.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Hacker here for Blue Chew. Oh yeah, guys, you know it's all about confidence when it's time to have fun. Although sometimes stress, a bad day, or even your age can affect your performance. BlueChew.com to the rescue. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as both Viagra and Cialis, but it's in chewable form, and it's at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew tablets are chewable and help men combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so there's no doctor visits, no pharmacy visits, and no awkward conversations. Here's the process. You sign up at BlueChew.com, you consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll get your prescription in just days. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code HACKER at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. Guys, BlueChew.com. Enter promo code HACKER to get your first month free.
Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is the sports medicine leader in Northeast Florida. We're proud to be the official sports medicine provider for your hometown teams, including the Jaguars, Sharks, Axemen, Armada, and the Jumbo Shrimp. We have the most cutting-edge resources for sports medicine care, including active armor casting, Alter-G anti-gravity treadmills, and highly trained physicians and athletic trainers. JOI is truly where the pros go, and so should you.
Here at Citrus Distillers, we're Duval till we die. And that's why we're happy to announce we are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look for our amazing locally distilled whiskeys at your favorite liquor store. Going out for a concert or event? Remember to visit your local Whiskey King at the Distillers Bar in ViStar Memorial Arena. Find us on social media for fun drink recipes and more. Citrus Distillers, proud partner of the Jaguars and your local Whiskey King. Cheers.
Get the latest swoop on the UNF Osprey Report on 1010XL.
Swoop!
Brought to you by Travis Cummings and the Bailey Group. For the best in employee benefits for medium and large businesses, call Travis Cummings today at 461-1800.
Spring cleaning is upon us, and this is the perfect time to call Zero Res. Zero Res can clean your carpets, area rugs, tile and grout, furniture, and even your air ducts. Remember, a clean home is a healthy home. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
The Who hits back. We don't get fooled again. Jacksonville, it's your turn. Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey, The Who with an orchestra. Why don't you all Five-Star Veterans Memorial Arena, April 24th. Who are you? Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. The Who, live in concert. There's more at thewho.com.
Get closer to nature.
Nice buck.
On the Nimnik Chevrolet Outdoor Show.
Nice buck, nice buck.
Captain Kevin and Captain Kirk join Jeff Lageman. Fishtails and hunting stories. Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000.
It's Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday night here in the city of Jacksonville, taking you all the way to midnight. Glad you're with us, 1010XL and 92.5 FM. The NBA playoffs tonight. Miami takes a 2-0 lead in their series against Atlanta. The Heat, 115-105 winners tonight over the Atlanta Hawks. Certainly more competitive than Game 1, but Miami finds a way to get it done. They're up 2-0. The Memphis Grizzlies are destroying Minnesota. That series will be tied at 1-1. Memphis up 22 midway through the third quarter. And Phoenix and New Orleans just underway out in the Valley. Phoenix up 14-13. They lead that series 1-0. Not a lot of drama yet in the NBA playoffs. We'll get there. Usually the first round gets rid of the riffraff. Usually you, by the time the Eastern Conference semis, Western Conference semis, you'll have some pretty good things going on, with the one exception of Brooklyn and Boston. Game 1 in that series on Sunday was incredible. Jason Tatum's layup at the buzzer won it. You'll have Game 2 of that series tomorrow night at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. We'll keep you updated on the NBA playoffs. Again, the two games in action right now. Memphis up 22 on Minnesota halfway through the third quarter, and Phoenix up 14-13 just underway against the New Orleans Pelicans. All right, we mentioned this going in to the last break there. A lot of Jaguars have moved on this offseason. You know, we got so caught up in talking about the new guys, and with good reason. I mean, they're the new guys. You get excited about Christian Kirk. You get excited about Brandon Sheriff and Evan Ingram and all these guys. I get it, of course. But I do think it's interesting, the departures here. Look, very simply, Doug Peterson and his staff came in here, and I wonder if you were to get some brown water in them behind closed doors, what they thought of this roster. Because their actions were pretty telling. DJ Chark out of here, goes to Detroit. They flat out release Miles Jack. Just release him. Just cut him. I mean, Miles Jack, arguably certainly a top 10, maybe top 6-7 linebacker in the history of the franchise. Only been in the league, 6 years? Gone. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler. How odd is that going to look in September when Miles Jack is wearing the Steeler uniform? You know, say what you will about Andrew Norvell and A.J. Cann. They started a lot of football games. A.J. Cann started 100-plus games in a Jaguar uniform. He is now gone. Taven Bryan, a first-round pick. I know. He was, I don't know if you can call the 29th pick a bust, but he was not a good selection by Jacksonville. But he's gone now to Cleveland. There's just a ton of turnover on this roster. Kind of a changing of the guard. And that's probably a good thing. Obviously, the Jaguars have lost a lot of games. anything new at this point is probably better. Anything new at this point is probably a good thing based on the losses and loss after loss after loss the Jaguars have had here in recent memory. 641-1010 is the phone number if you want to get involved. You are more than welcome to do so. 641-1010 here on Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM. A couple head coaching news and rumors making the wire tonight. Locally, you see Doug Peterson out of the Jumbo Shrimp game? Right down the middle, man. Throws out the opening pitch, and it was a strike. Looked good to me. The head coach of the Jaguars out there making it happen. Got a nice ovation. Cool night out by the Jumbo Shrimp, too. Imagine a lot of you are leaving the ballpark right about now. Not only did Doug Peterson throw out the opening pitch, Ronald Acuna Jr., one of the most exciting young players in the game, just happens to play for the Atlanta Braves, obviously a big team here in the Jacksonville area, back on a rehab assignment after his knee injury a year ago. And where does he start that rehab assignment? Right downtown against the Jumbo Shrimp tonight. It was a packed house. Cool deal for the Jumbo Shrimp. I also saw Billy Napier at the Tampa Gator Club tonight, getting the natives all fired up. That's what you do on these speaking tours, man. You got to garner support. You got to get everybody engaged. Keep everybody up to date on what's going on. That's the big difference between college football and the NFL. One of the big differences. You imagine back in the day if Tom Coughlin, or now with Bill Belichick in New England, if they had to go tour New England Patriot clubs around the New England area? Good grief. But you got to do that in college. It's part of the gig. And Billy Napier was in Tampa tonight, and they were all fired up. Man, I like Billy Napier. I really do. Truthfully, I didn't know much about him other than he was the Louisiana coach. And I think I was in the same boat as a lot of people. You just didn't know a lot about the guy. You'd heard good things. You watched him from afar. But truthfully, I don't think many of us knew very much about him when he was hired. Every time that guy speaks, though, every time they get a commitment, or there's a microphone in front of him, or he makes a hire, he always does a really, really good job. Very impressive. But as we talked about last night with Connor O'Gara from SaturdayDownSouth.com, and he certainly isn't the only one that shares this opinion, it potentially could be a long year for Billy Napier in year number 1 in Gainesville. Tough schedule, not a great roster he's inheriting. He's going to have an uphill battle. There's no doubt about that. He is going to have an uphill battle in year number 1. Give him time. Let him get his commitments in there. Let him get his players in there. I think he'll be fine. But Gator Nation, you're going to need to show something that you don't normally show. You're going to have to show some patience a little bit. To me, this is a 7-5, maybe an 8-4 Gator team. I mean, think about it. You got to go to Texas A&M. You got to play Georgia. You got to play the Pac-12 champion in Utah. You got to go to Tennessee. You play South Carolina, Kentucky, and Missouri. Well, you say those are no big deal. Well, yeah, those 3 beat you last year. All 3 of them beat you last year. So I think it is going to take some time for Billy Napier, but I think he is the right man for the job. Speaking of not having time, Billy Napier is not on this list, although there is a local coach that is. Our friends at CBSSports.com, Barrett Saleh, who I believe does a really good job with articles like this, has recently put out coaches under the most pressure entering the 2022 college football season. And believe it or not, there is a first-year head coach on this list facing the most pressure. It's not Billy Napier. It's Lincoln Riley. Think about what Southern Cal gave up for Lincoln Riley. Gave up a lot. Lincoln Riley is expected to go to Southern Cal this year and expected to win this year. Brian Kelly, Billy Napier, they're hoping to win. Lincoln Riley is expected to win in year one. Brian Harsin of Auburn is on this list, no kidding. With all the things that were swirling around him, some were not true or not proven to be accurate. I think he got kind of the short end of the stick. And I actually think he's a pretty good coach. Auburn does not look good in that whole scenario. The Auburn boosters, they've always been kind of shady. Remember what they tried to do with running Tommy Tuberville on the airport tarmac, 2.5 decades ago? They had the whole Bobby Petrino thing as well. Billy Napier reportedly was offered the Auburn job, didn't take it. I can understand why. Brian Harsin's on this list. Steve Sarkisian at Texas. Those Texas people don't care it's only year 2. You need to win. Texas hasn't won in a long time. But then we get to the local guy. And you can probably guess who that is. Mike Norvell. And this is what CBSSports.com says about Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell deserves a mulligan for the 3-6 record in 2020 after inheriting a broken program during the COVID-19 pandemic. But the 5-7 record and loss to Jacksonville State last season has placed the weight of the Seminole fan base on his shoulders. Norvell is touted as an offensive specialist, but his offenses have finished 9th in the ACC in each of his first 2 seasons. Additionally, he hasn't posted a top 20 recruiting class during any of the 3 recruiting cycles. That's the big one right there. Mike Norvell, the first 2 years on the job, was recruiting against Manny Diaz and what appeared to be a disinterested Dan Mullen. And he didn't have great recruiting classes. It's a whole new animal now. Now you're competing against guys that eat, sleep, and breathe recruiting every day in Billy Napier and in Mario Cristobal. If you could not recruit well against Manny Diaz and Dan Mullen, how are you going to recruit well against Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal? I like Mike Norvell. He always comes on 1010XL when we ask him to. In fact, he was on last week with Primetime. I like him as a person. You can't go 3 years at Florida State University without making a bowl game. Can't do it. Give him a pass for the COVID year. All right. They went 5-7 last year and lost to Jacksonville State. They don't go to a bowl game this year. Those Golden Chiefs, those Florida State boosters, they're not going to be happy. He deserves to be on this list. Coach is facing the most pressure entering the 2022 season. By the way, other guys on the list include Scott Frost at Nebraska and Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. College football, spring ball in the books for most schools. That includes the Alabama Crimson Tide. What about Bryce Young? What about Nick Saban? What about Alabama coming into 2022? We'll talk to Travis Reier, Bama Online, about that. But more so, I want to talk about Jamison Williams. How's the rehab going? I want to talk about John Mechie. How's the rehab going? And I really want to talk about Evan Neal. Keep in mind, Travis Reier has covered Alabama for a long time. I'm going to get him to compare and contrast Evan Neal and Cam Robinson. I think you'll be very interested in what he says. Travis Reier is next here on Hacker After Dark.
Now, 1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
Does either one of you have anything even remotely interesting to tell me?
Mornings.
I know I've made some mistakes in the past. I'm willing to make up for that.
On 1010XL.
15,000 workers. I'm Brian Rose from Remedy Staffing. We survey 15,000 blue-collar workers each year to better understand what drives quality and dependability in our workforce. The survey shows when looking for a new job, the initial pay rate, job security, and safety while working are the most important factors for hourly workers. If you're an employer and would like to learn more about the voice of the blue-collar worker, please call us at 904-528-1933.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his fourth. But you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
When you have a specific plumbing issue, why call around wondering who can fix it? Duck-Duck-Rooter does it all. Video camera inspections, line jetting, lift station services, to smoke testing. Duck-Duck-Rooter is fully licensed and insured and a 5-star Google-rated company. Need a good plumber? You need Duck-Duck-Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Hacker here for Xfinity. Look, your phones, your tablets, your laptops are always connected. So you need internet that can power a whole house full of devices. There's great news. The next generation of Wi-Fi technology is here, and it's only from Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Connect hundreds of devices at once and experience 3 times the bandwidth. For more reliable connections, it's ultra-fast and incredibly powerful. Learn more about Xfinity's next-generation Wi-Fi or get started with Xfinity Internet with 50 megabit per second for $25 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. This terrific offer does require paperless billing and autopay with a stored bank account. Offer expires April 28th. Restrictions apply. New Connect Internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra, and subject to change. Go to Xfinity.com or call 1-800-XFINITY.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, is home all week against the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Tonight is a Community First Credit Union 2 for Tuesday. Tomorrow is a day game on ViStar Good is Everywhere Wednesday. Then it's Budweiser Thirsty Thursday, followed by Fireworks Friday and Saturday. Baseball all week and weekend. Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets.
Work with a Purpose. Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida is hiring youth development professionals with a passion for arts, sports, leadership, health, and education. Apply today at bgcnf.org to help build great futures for local young youth. Equal opportunity employer.
Hey, David here with Rural Pest Services. When we have a product rep tell us they have a new product they're offering and how great it is, we don't just take their word for it. We do our own testing before we put it into our treatment program. Well, we found one. It's a granular aeration. Gone are the days of broken sprinkler heads and busted irrigation lines. No more ruts in the yard or hundreds of unsightly plugs from the heavy aeration machine. The only thing we'll be breaking up is your soil. It's also excellent for new sod installs. Visit RoyalPestServices.com for more information and to schedule a free estimate.
Have you always been interested in a career where you get to build projects from the ground up? Well, a career in sheet metal is for you. The Sheet Metal Workers Local 435 Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee is taking applications for their apprenticeship program. They have the best wages and benefits in the industry. The 4-year program includes free training, full family insurance, and pension plans. For more information, visit NorthFloridaSheetMetalJATC.org. Apprenticeship, the other 4-year degree.
Are you at a dead end when it comes to dealing with that awful joint pain? So was Rick Rawlings.
I did 1.5 years of steroidal injections in my shoulders, both shoulders. They weren't helping at all, and it was just a Band-Aid.
As for the constant pain medication prescriptions,
I didn't get any relief. I didn't get any sleep, so I just stopped taking them. I didn't want to get hooked on drugs.
But one day,
I heard a commercial on the radio about QC Kinetics.
Rick called QC Kinetics and learned all about natural biologic therapies, non-surgical treatments that actually help the body restore damaged joint tissue. And it was life-changing.
After doing the QC Kinetics, I feel like I have a new life again. Today, my shoulders feel wonderful. My only regret was I wish I had done it sooner.
From dead ends to new beginnings. Call today and learn about QC Kinetics' long-lasting relief.
Call QC Kinetics.
904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522.
You know what's great about getting older? The toys are way cooler. Spring is here, and it's playtime. Yeah! And One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union, has slash loan rates across the board on all the toys. Motorcycles, jet skis, boats, RVs, ATVs, even golf carts. And it's fun and potentially dangerous. One-to-One Financial is the perfect loan to help you finance it. Check out our rock bottom rates and apply now at one-to-onefcu.org. Come out and play. Federally insured by NCUA.
When you hear Honda, you think safety, quality, value. Now think fuel economy. Don't settle for anything but the best. We invite you to compare Honda to all other brands. Remember, only a Honda is a Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer. We're dealing. This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 19, 1991, billed as the Battle of the Ages, Evander Holyfield beats George Foreman in 12 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Glad you are with us. Spring football wrapping up all over the country as the big programs get done with spring and now turn their attention to summer conditioning on down the road. And obviously the NFL draft next week, there are going to be a lot of names from Tuscaloosa, Alabama being called, including Evan Neal. Could he be on his way to Jacksonville next Thursday night as the number one player? For the very latest in the state of Alabama, let's go to our guy Travis Reier, BamaOnline.com. Travis, how we doing?
I am great, Ryan. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Travis, we are good, man. Thank you for the time. Know it's a busy time of year for you when spring football just wrapping up. Before we get there, wanted to focus on the former Alabama players that'll have their names called next week. And let's, of course, start with Evan Neal. Travis, all the talk here has been Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker. Evan Neal, though, the name won't go away as far as Jacksonville and the number one pick. Travis, what is your thought about Evan Neal and the type of player he'll be at the next level?
I think there's a feeling of security with Evan Neal. Now, if you're talking about a plug-and-play left tackle, that's where things get a little bit interesting at this point in his development. You know, he's a one-year starter on the left side, did play a left tackle at IMG at the prep level extensively, but he's worked inside, as you've seen. He's worked at right tackle, and I just think his best football is still in front of him as much as anything because he's continued to make big strides in terms of his agility and his weight and things like that going back to that time at IMG. It's been gradual, but it's been consistent. So I think there is, again, a sense of security in that if you draft Evan Neal, even if initially you're thinking right side, or maybe even if you have to play him inside at guard, you're going to get immediate production out of him. And, you know, it's hard to gauge the level of success a lot of times for offensive linemen early in their career. Now, if you put them at tackle and, you know, some clear wins from edge rushers reveal a few warts early on in their career. But I think as far as his floor going into the National Football League, even though he is a 3 and out, I think there's some comfort in thinking that he's going to be able to plug into an offensive line and provide immediate help.
Travis, you're in the unique position where you've covered Alabama for many years. The Jaguars have a starting left tackle from Alabama, who they just franchised, in Cam Robinson. The talk here is, can you upgrade from Cam Robinson with Evan Neal? Let me ask you, does Evan Neal remind you of Cam Robinson at all? Is there, you know, a compare and contrast you can do between the two based on what you saw there in college?
Yeah, I think both probably in terms of physicality going into the NFL are where you would like them to be. I think for both, the question mark was going to be with Cam and is going to be with Evan is, are they at a point where they can deal with the type of edge guys that they're going to see in a week to week basis. So, some of the same attributes, power, I think, first and foremost, and then some of the same concerns, which I think you're going to have that for really any of these offensive tackles that you're looking at. And, I think Evan, again, the bigger, more massive prospect of the two. Cam wasn't a shrimp by any means, but yeah, Evan is just kind of, again, continued to make strides physically. And that's where, he is taking a unique approach too, of not running the 40 and pretty much telling clubs, look, it's on tape. And he's got a lot of tape. He's got 3 years of tape, whether you want to look at him as a guard or whether you want to look at him as a tackle.
Travis Reier, BamaOnline.com, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL Radio in Jacksonville. One more thought about Evan Neal. If he is drafted and if Jacksonville has the idea to play him at guard for year number 1, then let Cam Robinson move on and slide Evan Neal out to tackle in 2023. Would Evan be okay with that based on what you know about him? I know there was an interview where he believes he is a tackle. The guard idea didn't really come up in that interview. But if Jacksonville drafts him to do that, Travis, in 2022, would he be okay with that?
He was fine with it as a true freshman at Alabama. He came to Alabama as the number 1 tackle prospect for the 2019 recruiting cycle and immediately jumped in there at the guard position. I think you could sell it to him as in a similar way that I'm sure Nick Saban and the staff at Alabama did at the time, that, we need you to play guard to get our best 5 guys on the field, right? And that's essentially what happened with him at Alabama. I think as a freshman, he probably could have played right tackle, but they had a greater need on the interior, and that's what he addressed, and that's sort of a plan that they've had for guys at Alabama in the past. Jedrick Wills started really at guard. Alex Leatherwood was a guard early on. Now Cam, Jonah Williams, guys like that were immediately tackles, but it's something that wouldn't be foreign to him, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Boy, you talk about all the guys you just rattled off. It's kind of like offensive tackle you there at Alabama over the last 5 years. Real quick, I just you piqued my interest here, Travis. Of all the guys you just mentioned, where would you rank Evan Neal among those? Because a lot of those guys you mentioned have gone on to play very well in the NFL as of late.
Yeah, and even if you go back to Andre Smith in the 2009 draft, really Saban's first rounder going back to 2009. I'd still have Evan up there. Again, a little bit of a tough eval because I really look at Evan as a guy that, again, when you talk about ceiling, he has that luxury of being a two-way guy. As a guard guy early on, I think his floor is very high. As a tackle, he has a nice ceiling there as well. So, as just a tackle, starting with the power that he can play with and the increased agility that he's displayed over the last couple of years and the body transformation he's undergone, he would be top 3. I'd still have Andre Smith. People forget about Andre Smith. That guy was sort of a freak as a left tackle before moving on to the National Football League. But, yeah, he'd be top 3 for me of those guys we've talked about.
Travis, the Jaguars have a need at wide receiver as well. Alabama's got a couple of good ones, but, of course, both coming off knee injuries. Have you seen Jameson Williams and John Mechie at all in the last few months? Do you know how the rehab is going? A lot of Jaguar fans very interested in both of those guys.
Yeah, both are doing well, and we've come so far with rehab medicine and the procedures that they undergo now for those scenarios involving ACLs that it's really amazing how the timeline is condensed over the last 5 to 10 years. So, you hear Jameson Williams talk about probably being good to go, fully cleared for the start of training camp. And 5-6 years ago, people would have really raised their eyebrows at that comment. Now, not so much. So, yeah, the expectation, the outlook for both looks to be very good. I would say, with Jameson, you're talking about a guy that you're viewing more in top end speed. So that shouldn't be much of an issue for him in terms of straight line routes and, those type of opportunities that he takes to really get over the top of defenses. I would probably of the two be a little more concerned with Mechie because he is such a technician when it comes to route running and getting in and out of his cuts. That's something that you're going to want to see for yourself. But even with Mechie, what I love about him Ryan, is the physicality. You look at this guy and you wouldn't think that that's the case, but he has no problem with the grind that comes with playing wide receiver. And also when plays are extended, I think that's where they missed him the most when he went down in the SEC championship game. He's intuitive when things require a little bit of improvising. He's able to really get in tune with the quarterback and kind of find those open areas and turn extended plays into nice pickups.
Couple of more for Travis Reier from BamaOnline.com. One more prospect, Travis, I wanted to bring up is Brian Robinson. I don't know what it is about him. I just like the guy at the running back position. Jacksonville potentially has a need for a running back in the mid-rounds with the injuries to Travis Etienne and James Robinson. Hopefully they're both healthy and good to go. But I think you need a little insurance. That's why I would draft somebody and say round 4 or round 5, which I believe that is where a Brian Robinson type might fall. Is the Josh Jacobs comparison a good comparison for him? Maybe underused at Alabama and then explodes into the National Football League. How would you assess Brian Robinson?
Yeah, I'd say they were similar in that they really had to share opportunities. Man, when you think about the backs that Josh was tied in with, how about Najee Harris, Damian Harris, even Bo Scarborough back then was a very capable back for Alabama, and similar to Brian Robinson in that he had to wait his turn. Came in to Alabama in the same class as Najee Harris, so he was sort of that other guy of the backs in that recruiting cycle. But yeah, if you like one-cut, decisive runners, then you're going to like Brian Robinson. You know, he's not going to mess around and try to bounce things and things like that. He's going to press the hole, and when the opportunity presents itself, he's going to get behind his pads and finish runs with authority. And also, something you like about Brian Robinson, he is willing to put his face in the fan when it comes to pass protection. So you got a young quarterback, you're trying to protect Trevor Lawrence. Yes, Brian Robinson can catch it out of the backfield too, but when you need a back to step up and pick up one of these 235-pound blitzing inside linebackers in the NFL, Brian Robinson is going to be the kind of guy to do that for you.
I totally agree. There's a lot to like about Brian Robinson. There's no doubt about that. Travis, in the time we have left, spring football has wrapped up. Obviously, Alabama, you know they'll be good. They're going to reload. They're not going to rebuild. How did Bryce Young look in the spring? And what do the Crimson Tide faithful have to look forward to here in 2022?
Yeah, I think the expectation for Bryce is that he can be even better than he was a year ago. That's a scary proposition, but there are some question marks around him. I think you like that you bring back Bill O'Brien for a second year as the offensive coordinator, and maybe as much as anything, the quarterback's coach, because you're finally getting some continuity for not only Bryce Young, but his 2 young backups. So that's been a real positive, or was a positive throughout the spring. The concerns with Evan Neal, who we've talked about moving on, got to find a left tackle. They've gone to the transfer portal already and secured the services of Vanderbilt offensive lineman Tyler Steen. So even with him jumping into that mix, you got to have a right tackle. So protection first and foremost for Bryce Young, who, look, we saw last year, he can extend plays and he can cover for some issues that you might have in protection, but obviously you wouldn't like that to be a near down-to-down issue for you. And then the guys we talked about at wide receiver, finding replacements for Jamison Williams and also John Mechie and Jermaine Burton, another transfer coming in from Georgia. He looks like a top 2 guy in the rotation, but they're still in the market right now as far as the transfer portal goes for a true take the top off the defense sort of speed guy on the outside. So they've got some issues to answer, some questions to answer around him. But yeah, the expectation for Bryce is that he's going to do his part, and in a lot of ways, he's going to elevate the play of some of those other guys that are looking to step up around him.
Travis, final question, and I cannot even believe I'm about to ask this, but I am, and you tell me if I'm crazy or not. Just from an outside point of view, Georgia is defending their national championship. LSU hires Brian Kelly. Texas A&M brings in 8 5-stars, and Jimbo made headlines with that press conference he made when people were throwing allegations. Translation, Alabama might not be the biggest story coming into summer drills, into fall camp for the first time in a long time. Am I reading that correctly?
No, I think there's some accuracy to that, definitely, with the recruiting class that Jimbo was able to put together. at least in terms of off-season items of interest, that's been captivating, no doubt about it. And then his reaction to some of the negativity that came Texas A&M's way, where he essentially called, no uncertain terms, I would believe Lane Kiffin certainly in that group, a clown. So, yeah, it's been it's always entertaining in the SEC, man. And that's before we talk about Florida undergoing transition again. But you're right. I think maybe more of the attention, more of the sizzle has been elsewhere. But I think once we get into July and SEC media days and the run up to the season, it's going to be more of the same old, with Alabama showing up at the top of a lot of the preseason polls.
There is no doubt. When you have Nick Saban, you got Bryce Young, you're always going to be at the top of those preseason polls. Travis Reier, BamaOnline.com. Hey, Travis, thank you, man. Always enjoy the conversation. Really appreciate it. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Travis Reier, BamaOnline.com. Yeah, interesting. The Evan Neal to Cam Robinson comparison. John Mechie. Might be more of a question mark with his knee than maybe Jamison Williams. Something to think about going into the draft next week. I'll tell you something I was thinking about last night. You guys heard me talking about Prize Picks last night. It's a daily fantasy sports that I've really gotten into as of late. So I'm watching Golden State Denver last night. I had Aaron Gordon getting under like 15 points. That was a no-brainer for me, and of course he only scored 7. Maybe it's my anti-Aaron Gordon sentiment because he never really did anything in the postseason with the Magic. So that was a winner there on Prize Picks. I had to also get Andrew Wiggins to get 16 or more. My man had 13 with about 3 minutes to go. Could not score another point. It was brutal. But that was cool, man. I really enjoyed it. You know, what Prize Picks does in the NBA playoffs, the over-under that you get to choose from for players. It was fun. I was living and dying with every Andrew Wiggins shot. I'll tell you more about Prize Picks in the days and weeks ahead. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go here on Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida. We are glad you are with us. Coming up next, Deebo Samuel. That's all that needs to be said. It's Hacker After Dark.
The station that's not afraid to trade a little paint.
Have you ever? No, I have never.
This Sunday at Talladega, brought to you by Famous Automotive Tire and Quick Lube, treating every customer like they're famous on 1010XL.
You know, I'm always bragging about the Blue Crab Crab House because it's my favorite restaurant in Jacksonville, period. And one of the things I really admire about it, it's a long-standing mom and pop restaurant. We're talking more than 25 years serving Mandarin. Hey, it's worth visiting from all over Jacksonville. It's my favorite restaurant. It's located right off of San Jose. You can never, ever, ever go wrong by visiting the Blue Crab Crab House, Jewington Creek Road.
Men suffering from PE or ED, has Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra let you down? Regardless of your age or past medical history, you'll see results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center, or you pay nothing, guaranteed. Call us at 664-8217. When it comes to roofing solutions, most homeowners don't know they actually have a big variety of options. At Honest Abe Roofing, they offer a polymer-modified asphalt shingle that is guaranteed for life. This unique product can withstand 130-mile-an-hour winds, baseball-sized hail, plus it's algae-proof and fireproof. For the best roofing products, guaranteed for life, choose Honest Abe Roofing, the reliable roofer. Call 341-ROOF or visit honestaberoofing.com.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Spring cleaning is upon us, and this is the perfect time to call Zero Res. Zero Res can clean your carpets, area rugs, tile and grout, furniture, and even your air ducts. Remember, a clean home is a healthy home. Zero Res, man, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Here at Citrus Distillers, we're Duval till we die. And that's why we're happy to announce we are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look for our amazing locally distilled whiskeys at your favorite liquor store. Going out for a concert or event? Remember to visit your local Whiskey King at the Distillers Bar in ViStar Memorial Arena. Find us on social media for fun drink recipes and more. Citrus Distillers, proud partner of the Jaguars and your local Whiskey King. Cheers.
Estate cleanouts, hoarding cleanouts, old appliances, and even tools. There are tons of reasons why you or someone you know may need expert help clearing space. J-Dog Junk Removal will responsibly help you free up space. That means when they leave your place, it looks better. Whether it's you or a loved one that needs one type of clean out at your home, trust the veterans at J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran owned and operated. Call 844-GET-JDOG or visit jdog.com.
Captain Kevin Favor here, and do you store your boat and boat trailer separately? If so, I want to tell you about Stack'em Storage. They store your boat trailer in a secure warehouse out of the elements, and here's the cool thing. Stack'em Storage will pick up your trailer from you, store it in a secure warehouse, do a 5-point inspection, and deliver it back to you where and when you need it. Call Captain Pat at 962-9605. Use code FAVOR, that's F-A-V-E-R, and get a $50 gift card to Strike Zone. Visit stackmstorage.com.
Any adventure, any task, anytime. There's a CF Moto Utility ATV or UTV for any rider. See the full lineup at Ride Now Beach Boulevard. Venture seekers can start with the trail-tested capability and comfort of the C-Force lineup. For the ultimate in UTV performance, check out the Z-Force 950. Find your utility ATV at Ride Now Beach Boulevard or online at cfmotousa.com. ATVs are recommended for the use only by riders age 16 years and older. ATVs can be hazardous to operate. CF Moto recommends approved training course for safety and training information.
This is Brandon with North Florida Epoxy Floors. Our product gives you a custom high-quality appearance and the longest-lasting finish at a more affordable price. So for your garage, home, or business, research the difference between 100% solids epoxy and the products like polyurea, which can be kinda fishy. Our epoxy includes a moisture vapor barrier, essential in Florida, so your North Florida epoxy floor looks great and is warranted with no fine print. Get a free estimate at northfloridaepoxyfloors.com.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coastal Equipment in Jacksonville and McClenny to reach your North Florida Kubota Superstore.
Former Jacksonville Pro Bowler Leon Searcy is serving up lunch on XL Primetime.
I actually bought a diamond ring, it's $75,000 diamond.
Oh, 75. Brought to you by Wingstop.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Weekdays at noon on 1010XL, the flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL-FM, Jacksonville Beach. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000.
The 11 o'clock hour has arrived in the city of Jacksonville. We're taking you all the way to midnight. Tuesday nights, 10 to midnight here on Hacker After Dark. We are glad you are with us. NBA playoffs tonight. Miami has defeated Atlanta 115-105. Miami now leads that series 2-0. That series will now head to Atlanta for game number 3. Memphis is just destroying Minnesota, a game Memphis had to have. Remember, Minnesota stole game 1. Memphis will now tie that series. 4 minutes to go. Memphis is up 30, 118-88. And a good one in the land of the rising sun out in Phoenix. The Suns, the #1 seed in the Western Conference, they lead the New Orleans Pelicans 1-0 in that series. They lead game 2 tonight, but only 48-46 with about 3 minutes to go until halftime. Big story in the National Football League, developing anyway. We'll see what materializes from it. But I would think it's something to at least keep an eye on. And that is Deebo Samuel out with the San Francisco 49ers. This from Adam Schefter earlier today on NFL Live. Quote, "This, I think right now, is Deebo Samuel not wanting to get a deal done. It's not San Francisco not willing to do the deal. The 49ers are ready. Deebo Samuel is the one who has put a halt to everything for right now. What was that story that Deebo Samuel took all his San Francisco 49er mentions off his social media? Isn't that interesting? Where we are in today's society? That as soon as an athlete takes a team logo off of their Instagram or their Twitter, that becomes national news. Good grief.
It's brave.
It's unreal. It's unreal. But I get it. Look, I'm the oldest 38-year-old in America, but even I get it, that when you go to social media and you see a 49er logo there one day, it's not there the next day. You got to figure Deebo Samuel's upset about something. Why do I bring up Deebo Samuel? Well, it's obvious. The Jaguars have a need at wide receiver. Even though they gave Christian Kirk all that money, even though they gave Zay Jones all that money. If you're the Jaguars, do you call San Francisco? I would imagine Trent Baalke still knows some people in the Bay Area. That would be my assumption. Do you gauge the interest? See what it would take to bring a guy like Deebo Samuel to Jacksonville. The issue I have here is the same issue I have with the DK Metcalf thing that came up a couple weeks ago. Would you trade the number 1 pick in the draft for DK Metcalf? At that point, I said no. I still believe no, and I'll tell you why. You just gave Christian Kirk $37 million in guaranteed money. You just gave Zay Jones a 3-year, $30 million deal. DK Metcalf's going to want in excess of $100 million, you would think. That doesn't make sense to invest all that money, all that capital in the wide receiver position and, by the way, cost yourself the number 1 pick in the process. Same thing with Deebo Samuel. Now, I in no way, shape, or form would even entertain the idea of trading the number 1 pick in the draft for Deebo Samuel. But again, you kind of made your bed if you're Jacksonville with Christian Kirk and with Zay Jones and a sprinkling of Evan Ingram's $9 million for 1 year, which, by the way, I'm fine with that. I know some people believe they overpaid. Yeah, they probably did. I know some people were unhappy with that, so they did not do enough. We'll see. Here's what I know. Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones combined, I believe the number is 538 catches in the National Football League for those 3 guys over their 3 careers. 538 catches. They got 3 guys to catch the ball. Are they the 3 sexiest names? No. Could you have made quote-unquote bigger splashes? Yeah, probably. But I like what they've done. You team those guys, Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, with Marvin Jones, with Dan Arnold, with Laviska Shenault, with a returning Travis Etienne. Hopefully James Robinson gets in there at some point. Maybe you draft a receiver in round 2 or round 3. Last time I checked, there is only 1 football, right? You got guys now. Again, do you have the sexiest names? Probably not. But you're a lot better off at the wide receiver position and at the tight end position than you've been in quite some time. And that's before you might even add to that next week at the NFL draft. I still think you need a running back at some point. Just as an insurance policy. You hope Travis Etienne's healthy from Liz Frank. You hope James Robinson's healthy from the Achilles. You expect them to be. What's that old adage? You got to plan for the worst. You hope for the best, you plan for the worst. And if for some reason, for some awful reason, if Travis Etienne and or James Robinson are not ready to go and are not on schedule in their rehab, That's why you need to add to me a running back, say, in round 4 or round 5. A Ty Chandler from North Carolina, a James Cook from Georgia, a Brian Robinson from Alabama, Damian Pierce from Florida, maybe a Zamir White from Georgia. Get me a running back of that caliber somewhere in round 3, round 4, or round 5. I'd be happy. And again, if Robinson and Etienne are healthy, then now you have 3 good running backs, 3 good options if you draft a running back in the mid-rounds. When's the last time the Jaguars had 3 decent options at tailback? It has been a long time. We'll see. NFL Draft is 9 days away. I cannot wait. We'll be on Hacker After Dark, by the way, next Friday night during round 2 and round 3. Have some ideas cooking for that, as the Jaguars will pick 33rd, 65th, and 70. So looking forward to that next Friday night, Hacker After Dark, during round 2 and round 3 of the NFL Draft. Coming up next, back into the world of college football, my buddy Brent Beard. He's been on radio in this market forever. I've had conversations with Brent on, 3 different radio stations and 5 different buildings over the last 20 years. Brent Beard is my guy. We'll talk Florida. We'll talk Florida State. We'll talk Miami. We'll talk Georgia with my buddy Brent Beard. That is next on a Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
There's a new sheriff in town.
You know him. Of course I know him. He's the best marshal I've got.
And things are going to be different around here.
Let's ride!
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Empire Works Reconstruction is seeking to fill multiple positions for carpenters, window installers, painters to demo workers. These positions earn from $18 to $25 per hour depending on work experience and get a consistent 40-hour work week Monday through Thursday, leaving your Fridays to fish or golf while getting paid. To get started, call 407-982-0640, 407-982-0640, or online at empireworks.com. Positions are local to Jacksonville, equal opportunity employer.
Hacker here for Blue Chew. Guys, it's all about confidence when it's time to have fun. Sometimes stress, a bad day, even your age can affect your performance in that department. Well, enter BlueChew.com to the rescue. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as both Viagra and Cialis, but they're in chewable form, and they're at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable and help men combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is an online prescription service. No trips to the doctor, no trips to the pharmacy, no awkward conversations. Process is simple. Go to BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll get your prescription in days. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code HACKER at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. You want your first month free? You want Blue Chew? Go to BlueChew.com. Enter promo code HACKER.
The Jaguars are ready for a new look, and head coach Doug Peterson and quarterback Trevor Lawrence are leading the charge. Lock in your seats at jaguars.com/tickets or call 633-2000.
Find your why with membership at the First Coast YMCA. Whether it's improving your health, learning to swim, coaching youth sports, or even joining the staff, everyone can find a way to be involved at the Y. Take a tour today and discover all the benefits of YMCA membership, including personal and group exercise classes, adult sports leagues, complimentary youth sports and kids zone, and so much more with no annual contracts. Find your why today. Visit fcymca.org.
Golfers, swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Titleist, featuring the new Titleist Vokey SM9 wedges, the most superior handcrafted wedge design ever. The new SM9 grooves are cut to maximize the interaction of ball and face for lower flight and higher spin. Get precise distance and trajectory control like a pro with the SM9s. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home with a 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Hacker here for Prize Picks. All right, sports fanatics, have you heard about Prize Picks? PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and I know you will too. PrizePicks has the best NBA prop game on the market. PrizePicks offers more NBA props than any other daily fantasy sports operator and offers every player and stat category you can think of. For all the listeners that deposit and use promo code JAX, you will receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Just be sure and use promo code JAX. Don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com, use promo code JAX, or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. PrizePicks. And when you go there, use promo code JAX.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If your employees are not ready to give up social distancing, just let Hardball print your logo really big on new company shirts. Or better yet, neon. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all. When the intense pain caused retired Braves pitcher Jose Alvarez to literally drop a glass, he knew it was time to find help for relief. That's when he turned to QC Kinetics.
I just got this excruciating pain in my elbow. I couldn't hold it. It had become a very difficult thing just to do the normal things that you do in life.
QC Kinetics treats that chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, back, and elbows with non-surgical regenerative treatments. Your body actually helps heal itself. No surgery or downtime. A treatment elite athletes have been using for years.
It's not new to the athletic world. It's available out there for the non-athlete as well as the athletes.
As for Jose,
I've noticed an incredible amount of relief. The pain has subsided, and it's going to continue to get better.
Now you can experience this same life-changing treatment at QC Kinetics here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522.
It gets hot for playmakers and newsmakers on the Roof It Right Hot Seat. Roof It Right Hot Seat on 1010XL. Listen to Mike and Tony every day for the latest scoops from Jacksonville and beyond. Roof It Right so you can sleep at night. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Now, hello. Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. It is a Tuesday evening in the city of Jacksonville, and we are glad you are with us. Spring football all over the country has either wrapped up or is on the verge of wrapping up, and all four area schools, Miami, Florida, Florida State, and Georgia, all have finished their spring drills. It is a great pleasure to welcome in my buddy, Mr. Brent Beard. Brent, it has been way too long. You have always joined me for various shows throughout my radio tenure, and man, I am very, very happy to have you back on Hacker After Dark, buddy. How are you?
Hack, I'm great. First of all, congratulations on the show. Richly deserved. Hope you and the family and our listeners had a great Easter. Certainly we are in the midst of spring football, and we love that. And heck, I'll say this, going into this season, not all of them are going to be great, okay? But I'm going to say the schools that we cover, and we do the same thing on First Coast News, I would say if you polled all the listeners of like the Big Four, Big Five, I'm as excited and optimistic because of the coaches, Hack, that we've got for the main schools that I would argue that we've had Hack, in many years.
I don't doubt that at all, and there's different storylines for each school, Brent. And let's begin. We're going to talk about all four of them. Let's begin with the defending national champions. Now, here's my concern. Kirby Smart has scorched the earth with recruiting. We might not know the names necessarily yet, but we know they got 4 and 5 stars just chomping at the bit. Having said that, Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, Nakobe Dean, Channing Tindall, Trayvon Walker, Quay Walker, George Pickens, both running backs, Zamir White and James Cook. I mean, good gracious. They have an immense amount of talent to replace. Brent, how is Georgia going to replace all that talent here in this very short amount of time?
Well, I think they've still recruited so well that I would still say that Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State, all three of those teams have probably the best rosters in the nation, even with the losses. Even for Georgia on the defensive line, Mercy, you've got Jalen Carter coming back, Nolan Smith. At linebacker, they've got some of these young guys like Jamin Dumas-Johnson, who they really like a good bit. Dalen Everett, freshman cornerback. Keely Ringo, some familiar names, some not so familiar names. See, I have the same concern you do for them. I think offensively they will be okay, but when you lose that much talent to the NFL on defense, how do you replace it? But the reality is when you've had 4 or 5 incredible recruiting classes, you've got guys who are there, Hack, who can play. This year's no different for them.
Brent Beard here with us on Hacker After Dark. Brent, this sounds crazy to say because he just won a national championship from the quarterback position. I'm not sure if Stetson Bennett's better than Carson Beck. And maybe it's because I'm biased because Carson's from here and won a state title here. But boy, watching spring drills, talking to people, Carson Beck might have outperformed Stetson Bennett in the spring. You wonder if there's going to be a quarterback controversy, if you will, there when fall conditioning begins.
Well, I'm going to say no because Kirby has put his foot down, Hack, and he has said that Stetson Bennett is going to be the guy. But to your point, Beck threw for 246 yards in the spring game. Beck is much bigger than Bennett. He sees over the line easier than Bennett does. And frankly, Beck has really come into his own. And the thing, he has bided his time. Heck, you may be like me. I thought Beck would be gone by now, didn't you?
Yeah.
But he is back, and he has stayed the course. Now, look, they've got tremendous quarterbacks who are waiting in the wings, without a doubt. Vandergriff certainly is one of those guys that they are looking at. But, see, to your point again, what's so important about this is Bennett's not going to be there forever. It seemed like he has been, but this is his last year. And, heck, don't they have to get somebody – I know this is not the goal for the year, but one of the secondary goals is they've got to get somebody ready for next year. Do they not? And this is a good year to start to seeing how that sips out within this quarterback room. And Beck deserves a lot of credit with how improved he has become.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Brent, let's go to Coral Gables. I want to talk about Mario Cristobal in a moment. But this Van Dyke kid who came on the scene last year really, really looked good. Man alive. He has Miami fans very excited. You combine that, obviously, with the excitement Mario Cristobal has instilled in that program since he arrived about 4 months ago. They got some good things happening in Coral Gables, do they not?
They've got about as much excitement down there as they have had in quite a while. Maybe only South Carolina and Arkansas fans are more excited than Miami fans right now. We will start with Tyler Van Dyke. Now, look, this is not hyperbole, but in listening to Miami beat writers, what we have heard is Van Dyke has grown as a leader, and he has been in the film room at multiple hours virtually every day, and he has elevated himself to the point that, and again, this is not hyperbole here, he might be the best quarterback in the ACC. He is that good right now. Now, again, is he going to have the guys around him, and will he be able to elevate them? Because they've got some good running backs in Jalen Knight and Don Chaney, among others. They've got some good tight ends, Will Mallory and Jaleel Skinner. The wide receivers have got to step up. Here's the problem with Miami, and the beat writers will tell you this without hesitating. Their front seven on defense is extremely average, and they've got to have some guys come in as transfers on the defensive line. They've got a UCLA transfer, Mitchell Agood, that's coming in September, and then Akeem Messidor, who is from West Virginia, to come in there. And the linebackers, frankly, are in worse shape. So it's a balanced approach here. They are extremely excited with his coaching staff. Mario Cristobal, Hack, as you know, and following him like I have, is a tremendous recruiter. And he's brought a lot of good coaches with him. Can they be patient? And this Miami is back stuff is almost like, is Texas back? My answer to both of them is no, but I'll say this. Are you like me? I'm a lot more optimistic for them than I have been with the coaching staff in a long time.
There's no question. I mean, Mario Cristobal was not a home run hire. It was a grand slam hire. I mean, it was as good as they could have done, and they did it by getting Mario Cristobal to come back to Coral Gables. His name is Brent Beard. You catch him on numerous media outlets, including right here in Jacksonville on First Coast News. He'll be with us here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. As well. Brent, let's go to Tallahassee. Denny Thompson and I do the Gator Bites podcast, and in fairness to Denny, he's got a good relationship with a lot of these college coaches because the work he does with 6 Points quarterback training. And we were doing a podcast about a month ago, and I asked him about Florida State, and I said, what's going on over there? And Denny goes, well, they have a plan. They have a plan. Just trust me, they have a plan. And I stopped him, and I said, well, does that include making a bowl game anytime soon? Because they haven't made a bowl game in back-to-back years, Brent. You look at that schedule this year. Is it as simple as Norvell needs to make a bowl game or he's gone? I mean, is that where we are this season?
Well, I've checked on that, and here's the reality for Florida State. It's two things. One, they've got to be patient. He is slowly making progress. We're not seeing it in the record, so your point's a good one. Number two is they don't have the money to fire coaches quickly like other schools do. And that's not being disparaging against Florida State, Hack. I've had people who work there tell me that when they are struggling, they have to be more patient than some others. Now, this year's team, what I think is going to be huge, and you alluded to this a minute ago, they start the season with LSU in New Orleans. They can't afford to get drilled in that game and start off the season that way. Now, make no mistake, this is Jordan Travis's team, and I imagine Denny Thompson also mentioned Jordan. They've also got Tate Rodemaker and A.J. Duffy, a young kid they really like. So at quarterback, I think eventually they're going to be okay. At wide receiver, that was a real weakness for them. They brought in some transfers, Mekhi Pittman, Johnny Wilson, for instance. I think at running back, they will be okay. Lawrence Toafila is a guy I've liked for a while. Trayshawn Ward, DJ Williams, the transfer from Auburn, and they've got a transfer from Oregon in Trey Benson, who they like too. But you and I both know, heck, their weakness is that offensive line, and that is something that has got to get fixed, but beyond a shadow of a doubt. I think defensively, that they've gotten some promise there too, based on the defensive line, even with the losses like Jermaine Johnson, who was just unbelievable last year. So the September is very important for them. They're kind of making slow steps, but I'm with you. They need to show some progress, and that would be 6-6, 7-5, 8-4 in a bowl game, right?
There's no question about that, Brent. And to me, even though it's going to be a down OSU team, I'm not as concerned about LSU or Clemson or any of those games. You got to beat Georgia Tech. You got to beat Boston
Absolutely.
College. You got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. That's
Correct.
the problem that Florida State has had the first 2 years under Mike Norvell. He is Brent Beard from First Coast News. Many other media outlets will tell you about those in just a moment. Brent, we got about 2 minutes left for this edition. Let's wrap up with Florida. Billy Napier and the Gators wrapped up spring last week. I had Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South on the show last night. He said something to me that really resonated. I said, what should the expectations for Gator fans be coming into 2022? He said they should be low. I said, look at that schedule. Look at Billy Napier openly talking about the transfer portal at press conferences. He likes the staff they've put together. They're obviously doing a great job on the recruiting trail. 2022, though, Brent, could potentially be a tough putt with that schedule and with some of the lack of talent at certain positions.
Well, I'll give you the good and bad of this. First of all, the bad is you start the season with Utah and Kentucky. And the reason that's going to be difficult is that's a line of scrimmage game. And look, right now, if they split those games, I think a Gator fan would have to be happy. I know, and I get all the Anthony Richardson talk. To me, it's they've got to get tougher on the line of scrimmage, and that's what's going to make the difference for them. I like guys like Montrell Johnson, who he's brought in from Louisiana. I think this defense with guys like DeJuan Black at linebacker, Jalen Kimber at cornerback, and this Tyreek Sapp could be really good by the end of the year. But here's the good news. They got the right guy. I think this guy is a superstar. Frankly, he is a Nick Saban disciple. He has already improved things that needed improving, like nutrition, player housing. I mean, people look at that like trivial stuff. It doesn't matter, and it really does. But here's the bottom line. They hired him to recruit, and you cover recruiting as close as anybody, and I'm just telling you, they are involved. I'm not saying they're getting them all, but they are involved with guys they can only dream about a few years ago. And if folks will hang in with him, to me, he's the best coach they've had since Urban.
I totally agree. The recruiting thing, I mean, they have 4 and 5 stars every weekend visiting them. They're in the final 5 for guys, like you said. They would not have been in the final 24 in the last decade. So I agree. Billy Napier is the right guy, and I think Gator Nation understands they have to be patient this year. But of all years, not to open with East Tennessee State or Florida Atlantic. Let's just bring the Pac-12 champions who played in the Rose Bowl last year. Let's open with them on Labor Day weekend. Hey, Brent, give yourself a little bit of love, man, as we wrap up. First Coast News, we see you on there all the time. I know you also got a podcast with Travis Reier.
Yeah, we really enjoy this. We call it Second Helpings, and knowing Travis as we do Hack. This comes from a Leonard Skinner album. In Second Helpings, which is the SEC is emphasized, obviously. When we talk college football, we do that on basically a weekly basis. At that time, to do a lot of radio, obviously, around the South. I really enjoy that, but just really happy with how things are going for you. Blessings and prayers for you and the family. Just glad you're on every night. And I can tell you this, and this is refreshing. Your listeners, I know you cover a myriad of subjects, but no way, no how you're going to ignore college football, my friend, and they need to embrace that and enjoy that on a regular basis, correct?
There's no doubt about it. You're certainly going to get a lot of college football here on Hacker After Dark, and you're going to get a lot of Brent Beard on here moving forward. Brent, you're one of the all-time great guys, man. You know how much of a buddy of mine you are. I certainly appreciate you joining me. We will do this again very, very soon.
Can't wait, bud. Thanks so much.
Buying a car can be stressful, especially one sold as is or with no warranty. Do the 7, 10, or 30-day warranties leave you wondering what will happen on day 31?
Stop. Car buying doesn't need to be so stressful. Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet now offer the exclusive Beaver Certified program protecting your used car for 7 years or 100,000 miles. That's right, certified Hondas, Fords, Nissans, and any other make you consider now come with the peace of mind you deserve. Shop worry-free at Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his fourth. But you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
What if you could be debt-free in just 3 weeks? Hey, it's Prosser here, and my friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do that every day. It's Loan Pronto's Debt Consolidation Home Refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit cards. Listen, your home value's way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans or other high-interest debt. One local company had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi, and even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate into our one low payment with a mortgage APR still in the 3s? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now, you can skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now, 904-499-1508. That's 904-499-1508. LoanPronto.com at 999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Pick it here for my friends at Roof It Right. Are you having a problem with your roof? Well, you want the strongest building materials backed by the market's best warranties. You want Roof It Right. Listen, people, a roof in Florida, that's a big deal. And I've been endorsing Roof It Right for years because they're the company I know and I trust. Call or schedule your estimate today at roofitRightFL.com. That's roofitRightFL.com. And see why your friends, your neighbors say, Roof It Right, so you can sleep at night.
You know, many plumbers won't quote prices over the phone and instead charge a service fee for an in-home estimate. Of course, because they know once they're in your home, you're probably not going to send them away. But Roland Reich Plumbing is different. Roland will give you a price quote over the phone. And there's never a trip charge or service fee for an estimate. So if you've got a leak and can't wait a week and don't like paying unnecessary fees, call on Roland Reich Plumbing at plumbingjacksonville.com.
Nothing says spring like golfing on the weekends, but unfortunately, it's also time to green up the lawn. So let's do some math. Booking a tee time through a discount golf app will easily pay for Peninsular Pest Control to come out to the house and take care of your lawn from spring all the way through the end of the year. From fertilization to chinch bugs or even mole crickets. They even have a pro shrub service. Hiring Peninsular is sure to make everyone in the house happy. Find us at CritterGetter.com.
The Who hits back. We don't get fooled again. Jacksonville, it's your turn. Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey, The Who with an orchestra. Why don't you all Five-Star Veterans Memorial Arena, April 24th. Who are you? Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. The Who, live in concert. There's more at thewho.com.
Spring cleaning is upon us, and this is the perfect time to call Zero Res. Hicken here, and Zero Res can clean your carpets, area rugs, tile and grout, furniture, granite countertops, and even your air ducts. Remember, a clean home is a healthy home. At Zero Res, they just hit a new milestone. They now have more than 5,000 Google reviews. Go ahead and Google Zero Res and see what your neighbors are saying. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $147, or 2 rooms of tile clean for $147, or you can even do both.
Zero Res.
Looking to be your own boss in a proven business model? Like construction and working outdoors. Superior Fence and Rail is franchising in new markets all over the Southeast, from Birmingham to Savannah, and even a few more markets in Florida. Come win with us and redefine the fence industry. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail to learn more about starting a fence franchise today.
When you're on the fence about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
I'm Hayes Carline. I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on radio. Listen to my closing argument presented by the personal injury law firm of Harrell & Harrell weekdays on The Frangie Show. It's like Matlock, but meaner and about football.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM radio in Jacksonville. Glad you are with us. The NFL Draft, finally, the NFL Draft. 10 days away. Of course, in Jacksonville, we've been talking about this thing since basically Halloween when the Jaguars were all but eliminated from postseason contention. Will it be Evan Neal? Will it be Trayvon Walker? Will it be Aiden Hutchinson? Or potentially somebody else with the number one pick in the draft? Shane Hallam is the managing partner of DraftCountdown.com. He's kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Shane, how we doing?
I'm doing great. We're a week out, so I'm excited. Next week's the draft. It always feels like it comes up quick and slow at the same time, and I'm sure Jacksonville, all of you are very excited about it.
Well, and just to give our listeners a little feedback on the website, DraftCountdown.com is back. There was a little bit of a hiatus, but you, as long as some others, have basically taken that over. You're the managing partner of it. So now people can head on back to DraftCountdown.com and get all the great NFL draft analysis that they've had there for well over a decade.
Yeah, I'm happy to bring it back. I mean, it started back in the late 90s in 1996, one of the first NFL draft websites. So we're happy to bring it back, and hopefully people can start going over there and seeing rankings and the 7-round mock draft and getting all the scouting reports and notes that you're used to.
People that have listened to me know how much I love Draft Countdown, so I am very, very happy it's back. Shane Howell, managing partner of DraftCountdown.com, here with us on 1010XL. Shane, the Jaguars have the number one pick. I mean, we know all the names, right? Walker, Hutchinson, Neal. There was a time where Thibodeaux was in play. There was a time where Ekwonu was in play. Do you believe that Ekwonu and Thibodeaux could maybe be taken off the list, but still Neal, Hutchinson, and Walker are in play for that number one spot?
I would take Thibodeaux off the list. I think if they're going to take an edge rusher, it's going to be Hutchinson or Walker. I'm not quite ready to take Ekwonu off. It's probably close, but I think if Doug Peterson gets his way and they go offense and take an offensive tackle, then it's kind of between those two. But I still think it's very likely it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker. I'd probably put it maybe 65% Aiden Hutchinson, maybe 30% Trayvon Walker, and 5% that it'll be an offensive tackle. I think that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, and unless the winds change, we'll probably find out who it'll be before the draft kicks off. That usually gets out there. There's no reason if there's not going to be a trade to smoke screen what this first pick's going to be. But I think up until then, I'm probably going to stick with Aiden Hutchinson until we really find out.
All right, Shane, let's kind of look at these one at a time. Let's begin with your least likely scenario of an offensive tackle. My thought is, and we've talked about it here in Jacksonville a bunch, well, you draft Evan Neal, and people say you play him at guard because he just franchised Cam Robinson, and you do that because the Baltimore Ravens did it to Jonathan Ogden back in 1996. Well, I'm not sure if you looked at the calendar. That's 26 years ago, all right? There are not a lot of guys that get drafted as a tackle and are moved into guard for 1 year. What's your general thought on that idea? Because they just paid Cam Robinson $16.7 million with that franchise tag.
I think it'd be ludicrous to do that. I just don't think there's a world where you're going to take a player number one overall and slide them in to offensive guard. If you're taking Evan Neal number one overall, you at least have to play him at right tackle. I mean, you can't kick him into guard. You have to do it with somebody else. And that's why I think it makes sense with the Cam Robinson tag to not go in that direction. Like, I think Evan Neal would be a great fit. I think he has that strength for the run game that they want. I think he has the athleticism and upside. But, I mean, you can't do that with a player and then next year say, okay, you're the left tackle now after you just spent a year learning a whole new position. You're just setting him up for failure.
Completely agree with you 110%. Same thing, I guess, for Ekwonu, although the Ekwonu thing, we really haven't heard much about him sliding into guard. That's more that Evan Neal thing. But I imagine Ekwonu, same thing. Cam Robinson, $16.7 million. Remember, they got Walker Little and Juan Taylor probably battling it out on the right side. There's just not a lot of room at the tackle position, Shane.
Yeah, I just don't think there is a ton of room, and I think Ekwonu is the same way. I actually had Ekwonu rated as a guard coming into the season, and then he was so impressive this year playing tackle. I thought he would have to move inside to guard, but showed that athleticism. So it would be the same scenario. Once again, I just don't think it's smart, and I do think it's unlikely that they go that direction with an abundance of talent. Maybe it's not high-end franchise tackle talent, but you have players that still could this year do well, and maybe one of them emerges in the future to say, okay, we have one of our tackles. So I really think they're going to go on the defensive side here.
Shane Hallam, managing partner, draftcountdown.com. He's with us on 1010XL Radio here in Jacksonville. All right, that leads us to Trayvon Walker. All the mock drafts that I saw, Shane, leading up to the Combine, Walker was in the mid to late first round stage. He goes to Indianapolis and goes absolutely nuts. What is your thought on Walker, and did he skyrocket because of what he did at the Combine? What's your thought on the whole Trayvon Walker thing?
I think Trayvon Walker presents the absolute upside of an edge rusher. If you're looking at a player in this draft that could be a top 5 edge rusher in the NFL, it's Trayvon Walker. He's that guy with that upside. And I think it's not just the Combine. You know, oftentimes when we look online, we see the mock drafts or, you know, I'm writing behind. It usually lags a little bit behind what the NFL's doing, right? We wait for the kind of that information to get out there. So I don't think it was just the Combine, even though it was exceptional. I mean, he was basically just a couple hundredths of a second off from being one of the best edge rusher workouts of all time. It also is, he dominated in the national championship, and he's a player that had just a really good season. When we have a player like Trayvon Walker, first-year starter at Georgia because of the depth that they had, people don't know about him, until he performs. And that's why it kind of feels like a late rise, which I guess it was in a way. But that's the question that the Jaguars have to have. Do you take the guy that has the most upside in Trayvon Walker, but also is a much bigger risk to be a good performer because you only had 1 year of production, even though he played great against Alabama and had a great combine? Is that enough to feel comfortable taking this player at number 1 overall?
Is there a player, Shane, that's come out, say, in the last, 5-6 years that you would compare Trayvon Walker to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough to say, like, in terms of a physical, in terms of a physical comparison, what he brings to the table. I personally, I think Trayvon Walker, from like a skill set perspective, he reminds me in terms of a kind of draft stock of some of the, some of the big time edge rushers that have emerged late. Like, we've had these players that kind of have been workout warriors ultimately. I think on the site, I compared him to Ziggy Ansah from 2013 as a player who was just this physical freak, had the production one season, and kind of rose up draft boards. And Ziggy Ansah was a good player from BYU, ended up having a pretty solid career. But I think a lot of people would compare him maybe to a Vernon Golston from Ohio State, some of these athletes that came out after one big season. And that's scary. I think that's scary to take at number 1 when you can take it Aiden Hutchinson, who compares more favorably to guys that you feel safer about.
Yeah, Jaguar fans remember Derek Harvey very well, which is a similar deal to that of Vernon Golston. One really big year in college, did not translate to the next level. Shane, before we get into Aiden Hutchinson, a quick thought on Thibodeaux out at Oregon. Last year, he was the surefire number 1 pick in the draft. What happened in the last 12 months to have him fall a little bit?
I think the biggest thing is he got hurt. I still have him as my number one player in this draft. I think his explosive first step is just exceptional and is better than any player in this draft by far. I think he's a smart player who has a high football IQ. We've heard some teams are worried kind of about his interests outside of football. Is he 100% committed? I think that's crap, to be honest with you. I mean, all these players are well-rounded and have a lot of interests. I think that's great. But I think he had the ankle injury. He didn't play that much this past season, maybe kind of sat on his laurels a little bit too much. And he's had an injury history. So I think that is kind of the fear where, okay, I can get more upside with Trayvon Walker anyway. If I take Trayvon Walker, I can get more safety out of Aiden Hutchinson if I take him anyway. I think Thibodeaux kind of falls in the middle and is just not in consideration for that reason.
Shane Hallam, DraftCountdown.com, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. That brings us to Aiden Hutchinson. That's your favorite for the Jaguars going in. It would be my favorite as well. Call it the safe pick, Shane. Call it whatever you want. The Jaguars have had enough nonsense in the top 10 to me. The Jaguars have had enough, swing and misses in the top 10. You tell me I get Aiden Hutchinson and I get between 8 and 10 sacks a year for the next, 4 or 5 years. Is that an all-pro player? Probably not, but that's a solid Pro Bowl caliber player. And for this organization, as many times as they've messed this up, I'm totally fine with that. What is your opinion on Aiden Hutchinson?
No, I agree with you. I think you're getting a Pro Bowl player who's not going to be a world beater. He's not going to be as good as maybe Chase Young or Joey and Nick Bosa. He might not be that player that every single play you're saying, wow, he's in the backfield. He's changing what the offense is doing. But what he does that I don't think Trayvon Walker or Kayvon Thibodeaux do is set the edge against the run. You're going to get a defender that has good range on the outside. It can stop a running back from the outside zone. I think that's really important in the division the Jaguars are in against Jonathan Taylor, against Derrick Henry. Like, you need that player. You can't just have a guy that's just a pass rusher. But we saw Aiden Hutchinson's pass rush upside against Ohio State, against the second-day pick in Nicholas Petit-Frere, using a bull rush. Really good at that, but he has a spin move. He has a swim. He plays smart, and there are definitely games where he struggled to get that requisite pass rush, but he still was solid against the run and changed kind of what the offense's game plan was, and they moved away from him. So I think it's just a kind of slam dunk pick. You know what you're getting. You're getting a good player, top player who is a good athlete, and he can fit this system well. And I think putting him opposite Josh Allen just makes it even better. You're going to give Aiden Hutchinson one-on-ones, and he's going to do some good things.
Shane, in talking to Jaguar fans about Aiden Hutchinson through this process, the ones that are anti-Aiden Hutchinson bring up two things. They bring up 14.5 sacks his senior year, but not much productivity before that. They also bring up the Orange Bowl. Keep in mind, we're in SEC country. Georgia, let's be honest, dominated the Michigan D-line that night in Miami, Florida. Are those concerns fair in your opinion?
I think the Orange Bowl concern is fair, especially after seeing what Trayvon Walker did in the national championship, because now you're kind of comparing a little bit apples to apples. Now, they were generally on opposite ends of the field. Aiden Hutchinson was going up against Evan Neal. Trayvon Walker was not. They moved him to the other side smartly, but Michigan had 2 pass rushers. They didn't have to do that. So I think that's part of it too. And I think the other thing is, when you talk about production, last year in 2020, he was out for the year. He tore his ACL. He's out for the season, where I think you would have seen that production come from him. I think he would have been a double-digit sack player. As a sophomore, he was a double-digit tackle for loss player. He was living in the backfield. So I don't think the first one's a concern at all. But I do think, when you talk about that one game, it's one game. I could point to almost every player in this draft and give you a bad game that they had. And that's why, scouts are going to watch a lot more than that, and it's not defining.
Final moments here with Shane Hallam, the managing partner of DraftCountdown.com. Shane, the Jaguars have picked 33, 65, and 70. Certainly could use some help at wide receiver, maybe interior offensive line, maybe inside linebacker. Give us one or two guys that you like. I'm in love with George Pickens. I don't know if you take him at 33. I don't think he'll be there at 65. But are there any wide receivers or inside linebacker types that you think, if Jacksonville can get them in round 2 or round 3, that would be the way to go?
I think there's a lot. I think linebacker at that spot, Nakobe Dean from Georgia, there's a good shot that he is there at 33 just because of the depth of this first round. I think there's a real possibility. I think he'd be a great fit, obviously on the smaller side, but you know how well he played in coverage. He can rush the passer, do a little bit of everything. I think that'd be a great kind of plug and play. If not, Leo Chanel from Wisconsin, 6'3", 250, really athletic, could rush from the middle, could rush off the edge. You could use him outside or inside, versatile linebacker. And I like George Pickens too. You got to take him at 33. I think he might not even be there at that point because of how well he worked out and how healthy the reports are on the medical. I'll say too, I'm a big fan of Christian Watson, the receiver from North Dakota State, 6'4", 208, 4.3 speed, great athlete. May not have had the production at the FCS level, but at the Senior Bowl, he was electric. He was wide open all the time. I think he's underrated too. So that pick at 33 is going to be pretty valuable. And I always talk about with day 2 now being a whole day later, the Jaguars could even accrue more picks if they wanted to. I think teams are going to want to move up to that 33 spot. But if a good player like Pickens or Nakobe Dean staring in the face, I think you got to take him and run.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Watson from North Dakota State. Dave Campo, former Cowboy head coach, is a buddy of mine. He's on our radio station on a weekly basis. He loves Watson. Absolutely loves him. So that's a guy that I think Jaguar fans should at least look at and consider as well. All right, Shane, when people go to draftcountdown.com, man, what can they expect when they head on over to the website?
I released a 7-round mock draft this week, so you can check that out if you want to see what I have the Jaguars taking every round of the draft. And I've been writing up every prospect that I've watched. I'm releasing those periodically. And next week we'll have our final big boards, final mock drafts, and all the good stuff.
Shane Hallam, the managing partner of draftcountdown.com. Shane, always enjoy the conversation, man. Thank you. I know you're busy this time of year. Let's maybe do it next month, review what the Jaguars did with those 12 draft picks.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Men, when you're in the mood for love, but you have ED or PE and those little blue pills haven't worked, here's a message from Prime Men's Medical Center.
I'm Dr. Rabinski. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, Prime Men's Medical Center offers custom-blended medications. Men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, and it's affordable.
Call 904-664-8217. We guarantee you'll see results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call 904-664-8217.
Hello, all you Jacksonville sports fans. Don here from Taco Lou. If you're in the mood for some great tacos, cold Dos Equis, and maybe even a sip of some fine tequila, then the Lou is calling your name. Come out to Jack's Beach and experience what many have dubbed the #1 taco in the 904. There are plenty of great taco joints in town, and we're proud to have been around for this long, and we have only you, the fine people of Jacksonville, to thank for helping us grow and become who we are today. Cheers to you, Jacksonville, and thank you from the Lou crew. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Here at Citrus Distillers, we're Duval till we die. And that's why we're happy to announce we are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look for our amazing locally distilled whiskeys at your favorite liquor store. Going out for a concert or event? Remember to visit your local Whiskey King at the Distillers Bar in ViStar Memorial Arena. Find us on social media for fun drink recipes and more. Citrus Distillers, proud partner of the Jaguars and your local Whiskey King. Cheers.
Find your why with membership at the First Coast YMCA. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Registration is now open for youth sports, camps, swim lessons, and so much more. Both kids and adults benefit from a family membership at the Y. Improve your health, learn to swim, gain new skills, make new friends, and connect with positive role models in your community. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your why today. Visit fcymca.org.
If you've been involved in a car accident and are not sure of your legal options,
Call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 and take back control of your life.
Office in Jacksonville.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball presented by FIS is home all week against the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Tonight is a Community First Credit Union 2 for Tuesday. Tomorrow is a day game on ViStar Good is Everywhere Wednesday. Then it's Budweiser Thirsty Thursday, followed by fireworks Friday and Saturday. Baseball all week and weekend. Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all. Selling or pawning, get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Patients like Heather haven't felt this good in years, thanks to natural biologic treatments from QC Kinetics.
I have really bad arthritis in my right hand and my shoulder. Both would wake me up at night because they would hurt so much. Since I've been going to QC Kinetics and had the treatments, I'm already seeing such a difference. My pain level is just almost gone.
If you have chronic joint pain and are tired of using steroids and drugs and really want to avoid surgery, call QC Kinetics to learn more about how natural biologic treatments are giving patients lasting relief.
Oh my gosh, why did I wait? This is so great. Especially the way things have been going these days. Things that you took for granted, we haven't had the option to do. And now I want to do them. I want to go out. I want to go for walks. I want to go hang out with my kids. And I don't want to be hurting.
Don't wait. Call now to learn more about regenerative restorative treatments that help your body heal itself. Call QC Kinetics.
904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. QC Kinetics. 904-274-5522.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. The following program was pre-recorded.